All right. Welcome to episode 6 of the new Cranky Workshop. That's I can never remember what side you're on, dude. That's Jered Wilson from Inland Wood and Resin.
That is Lee from Busted Knuckle. Hey, I got it right. It's over there.
Anyway, I'm Lee from Busted Knuckle Woodworks, and we're ready to go. At least I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go?
Episode 6. There we go. Math ain't my strong suit. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, feeling good today?
Yeah, it's friggin' cold outside, but I'm doing okay. I got some work I got to do, and not looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm feeling good.
How cold is it?
Oh, we go from like summer to fall in less than 3 days. So it's about 40 degrees outside right now. It'll get into the 60s, but it'll take a little bit. So I'm gonna have to
we're hitting 100. We're hitting 100 again this weekend. So
pass.
Anyway, yeah. So I'm ready to go. I'm rocking the Big Poppy today.
Oldie but a goodie. I figured you would have been like a man ram kind of guy. He was kind of goofy, right? You know, going out into the Green Monster and relieving himself between innings, and you know that.
Yeah, Manny being Manny. Let's see. I got my Yeti mug.
Always got to start the day with a cup of Joe.
Yeti is a good Austin company, Austin, Texas, home of the world's most expensive camping shit. Yeti.
I love it. You guys, man, Texas is just kicking ass right now. I got that Arctic stuff, and I guess they're a Texan company as well, and it's like half the price of Yeti because I'm a cheap ass, and it does the same thing.
Are you a big camper?
Not recently, but you know, we're waiting for my daughter to get old enough to realize that she's not supposed to run off in the woods, because we got a whole bunch of larger four-legged critters up here that can do some damage. So, you know, basement's full of all sorts of camping stuff. But, we haven't gotten out yet.
Yeah, we used to do quite a bit when I used to race, right? So racing motorcycles. Of course, you have to stay at the track the whole time. So when I first started, I would just camp right in the parking lot with a tent, you know, and you hope it wasn't windy because you couldn't stake it down. And sometimes you'd be wrapped in that fucking tent, you know, in the morning, but that was fun. And then of course we got our RV and all that stuff, you know, like it's expensive. So,
oh yeah, like any hobby.
Yes. Anyway, speaking of hobbies and speaking of expensive hobbies, we're going to talk about that today. Since this is a woodworking podcast, Jered and I were thinking we might talk about woodworking for a change. I don't know if this will go over.
Right. You know, we've been talking too much about YouTube, and that can get really aggravating. So let's talk about something that's less aggravating, woodworking.
Okay. I don't know if it's less aggravating, but probably a lot more fun.
Definitely, yeah.
But first, some show business, because as I always say, there's no business like show business. So viewer comments.
What do we got?
Comments. We got a couple of them today. Let's see. On the last video, 5 Duck Studio again. Of course, the last episode was how we make videos for YouTube. And we talked about the tendency for some YouTubers to do gratuitous cutaways to The Office. And Jered and I are both of the opinion, well, I hesitate to call it an opinion. It really is more of a certified fact that the UK version of The Office
much better.
Is far superior.
Much better.
Yes. And 5 Duck Studio said, how dare you? The UK Office is just as good as their food, which, okay.
I mean,
the Brits are great at humor. They are not great at food.
No.
I don't think that's a fair comparison.
No. My one lone experience in traveling abroad and going to Europe and spending a considerable amount of time in the UK, I can confirm their food, not so great. But then again, I'm a super picky eater, but their comedy, top notch, way better, just top notch.
Who doesn't like a lovely can of spotted dick? Okay, if you don't know what spotted dick is, Okay.
Be
It isn't
careful
what
when
it
you look
sounds
it up.
like.
Be careful.
It's a product that Heinz makes, which is of course an American company, but they don't sell it here because nobody in America would eat a concoction called spotted dick. But apparently it is a really big hit in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
It is some kind of a yellow gelatinous sponge with raisins in it, and it comes in a can. The fuck? I do not know what it's made out of. Probably like waste plastic they harvest from the ocean. I don't know.
Leftover
But
Vegemite or something like that. I don't know. Ugh.
anyway, MJL Woodworks. Okay, I was really triggered by this comment, so I felt I had to read it. I really don't know how some channels record, edit, and present things so well, even if the content is crap.
Oh.
What I'm trying to say is, it seems for some channels, the video and editing is more important than the content.
Interesting.
Oh, man.
Are you taking that one right to the heart, Lee? Or I don't know if I'd be on the opposite end of that comment, but yeah.
Yeah, MJ Woodworks. You're killing me. So anyway, yeah, hey, listen, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave us a comment. We might read it on the air if it's good and funny and makes a salient point. And if you're listening on audio, come on over to YouTube, join the party. We'd love to have you. So I did want to follow up on something that we talked about in the last episode about shooting on a phone, right? So I don't shoot on a phone. I've never shot. I've shot a minute or two of B-roll here and there on a phone, and I know you do. Of course, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
So I said I never would, but I may be willing to reconsider that stance. So you're aware of the fact that the iPhone 15 just came out.
Yeah.
And there is definitely some improvements in the camera and especially in the picture profiles and the processing that I think will really improve the experience, especially for shooting videos. So one thing I've noticed, and this is actually a feature of iOS 17, so the 14, the 13 have this too now, is the ability in the settings, and this is kind of buried, but the ability to lock the white balance. So there's three really bad problems with shooting on an iPhone. The way that it lights up faces, right? So if you have any shadows in the face, it uses AI to brighten up the face. And sometimes that's not what you want. The second thing is really bad exposure shifts, like light, dark, light, dark. If we move the camera around, if you're in a shop and you're going from a lighted area to a darker area, the whole picture the exposure will change. And the other thing is the inability to lock white balance. So that means the colors will shift. So now you can lock the white balance. It's still auto white balance. You can't set it manually, but at least you can set it at the beginning. And when you hit record, it won't move. The second is Apple Log. So with a log profile, this is not regular HDR. They've had that for 10-bit HDR for a while, but this is 10-bit log. Of course, you'll have to color it in post manually or use a LUT. But, and this is getting kind of nerdy, you know what I mean, for like people who shoot videos. But with the Apple Log profile, you won't get the exposure shift. You won't get the weird processing. And so I'm really curious. I'm not going to buy an iPhone 15 because I just got the 14, less than a year ago.
Yeah, and I think my wife has a 14 as well. Yeah.
Right. And the other thing is the ability, because it has USB-C now, to stream directly to an SD card or SSD hard drive connected directly to the camera. Right. So I have seen that on YouTube and people are doing that. And that is fantastic too, right? Because you can, even if you only have a small, like a 256 megabyte storage, you can put a 2 terabyte hard drive to it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because we know that just recording the video, it eats up memory just super quick. 256 is nothing.
Yeah,
you can go through that with a few video clips.
Yeah, and if you shoot Apple Log, it's ProRes, which is humongous files, right? They're not compressed at all. So if anybody shoots on an iPhone 15 who's watching or listening to this, I would really like to know what kind of results you're getting. So just wanted to just throw that out there as an addendum to the last episode.
Yeah,
that we
little
talked
follow-up. But I think we somewhat glossed over this, and I'd be curious to see of anybody who watched that previous video, just like what the percentage breakdown is of people who are shooting on a phone. Are they using iPhone or are they using something else? Because I'm almost 100% using a Galaxy, and the whole Android side of things is completely different than the Apple side of things. So I'm just curious if that's if most people who are shooting on a phone are using iPhone.
Yeah, I'd be interested. And the Android phones for video don't suffer from the same issues with like the gamma shift and the color shift as the iPhones typically have. So that would be interesting to know too. So anyway, hey, listen, I was just reminded. See, I got my Texas Woodworking Festival coffee cup here.
Nice little memento, a nice trinket.
Yes, and it has my title.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah, this is one of a kind.
They only give them out to the special people, right?
Yeah, exactly. So do you guys have a woodworking festival up there in Washington or Spokane?
If there's anything remotely close to what you talked about with the Texas Woodworking Festival, it would be on the west side. We don't have nice things in the inland Northwest. We just don't. We have a bustling craft show circuit, but we do not have any kind of large woodworking stuff. We've got like a home and garden show, and that's about the extent of any kind of large convention style woodworking craft related thing, but nothing strictly woodworking.
Right. So the Texas Woodworking Festival is very much like a traditional trade show. You know what I mean? There are vendor booths and there are people selling their wares and so forth. I find it kind of strange. There are a lot of woodworkers there selling projects, very much like a craft show, which to me is weird, right? Are you going to sell a lot of woodworking projects to a bunch of woodworkers?
A bunch of woodworkers, right? Know your audience.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything I looked at, I was like, oh, I could make this.
I could make that.
My wife was like,
do that.
Yeah. My wife was like, oh, look at this. I could make that.
Yeah.
Come on. I could make that. Do you do that when you go to
all the time?
Do that when you go to But like furniture stores?
Oh, definitely that. Like if I go downtown and we've got what is it, Crate and Barrel, or we don't have a Restoration Hardware, but I had one back in California, and I'm that guy. Is this veneered? Is this like actual wood? I'm poking it, tapping it, smelling it. I'm trying to figure it out. And and then I look at the price tag and I go, fuck no, absolutely not. I could build that.
I could build that.
Yeah, give me a couple of weekends.
I could build that. And of course, her response is, didn't I doubt? Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely had that conversation. You said you were going to do this 6 years ago. I'm getting to it. It's on my list.
It's on my list. Let's see. Okay, it's on page.
It may be 12 or 13 pages deep, but it's on there, and I know it's in here. I know it's up there.
Yeah. So anyway, one interesting thing I did find out at the Texas Woodworking Festival, and I don't know if this is a scoop. I don't know if this will be news by the time this comes out, but at the Texas Woodworking Festival, one of the vendors that I saw was Osmo. And of course, they have had in Europe, they're a German company, and they have had their two-part hard wax oil formulation, their Rubio competitor, the one with the base and the hard and the accelerator or the hardener, out for close to a year. So they're bringing that stateside, which may or may not be news. But one of the things I haven't seen anywhere, and I asked the vendor booth rep this, and he confirmed it, is that they are going to have colors.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yes.
There's some insider information.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Right. And the price will be significantly less than Rubio. So I think Osmo compares very, very well to Rubio in its current formulation. I'm really interested to see what it's going to be like in the 2-part formulation. And I want to see what kind of colors they have, right? I think they're going to come out with some some good ones.
I think, yeah, some of the other competitors, lesser known names, some of them do have some pigmented hard wax oils, but they're limited, right? They only have like
Right.
the grays and the black and the blacks and the darker shades of brown or whatever. But that's where I think Rubio has always had a competitive edge. Is you can get green and blue and red and stuff.
And pink and yellow. I mean, yeah,
exactly. I did a dining table once with Rubio in that. I think it's sapphire is the name of the color, the red, and it was on red oak, and that thing turned like Valentine heart red, and that's what the client wanted. But yeah, I think it'll be nice to have another option, especially if it's a little less expensive. And I've never had easy access to Rubio, but I have noticed that Osmo has been a little more readily available. So like at Rockler's and Woodcrafts and stuff like that, whereas Rubio has always been a little more boutique-y.
It has, although their American importer is based here in Austin, right?
Everything's in Texas, damn it.
So, yeah, they're only right up the road, right? So, it's been pretty easy to get here, but it's expensive. And, of course, Osmo's expensive, too. But he said it'll be cheaper. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, even if it's just $5, $10, I mean, that's enough to make you go, if should I order from Amazon to get that Rubio, or now am I willing to make a switch over to Osmo? And I've never used it, but I'd be very curious to give it a shot.
Right.
Yeah, there's some good insider information for you.
So interesting topic, I think. And I'm going to get your opinions on this. I have opinions on it. I was talking to someone the other day who was kind of a beginner, and he asked me for a piece of advice. And I want to know what you would have given for this advice. And I think a lot of beginners struggle with this. This is why I thought it would be a good idea to bring it to the show.
Okay.
Battery platforms.
For tools, battery platforms on tools. Yeah, okay.
Right, a cordless platform for tools. How do you pick the right one? Mm-hmm. It's expensive to get it wrong.
Oh, yes, it is.
It is. And you know that. I'll tell you what I told him, and then I'd like to hear what you would have said. First of all, don't pick one, pick two. And I have a couple of reasons for that. You'll see I have two. Mm-hmm. I have DeWalt, and I have Ryobi, and I try to angle the camera so that we don't see too much of the Ryobi.
Hey.
Yeah. First of all, no line has everything.
Mm-hmm. Although Ryobi's really freaking trying. They are trying.
They certainly are. So my suggestion was you should have two battery platforms, and one of them should definitely be Ryobi.
I would agree with that. Just at face value, I would agree with that. I think if I just quickly pick up on it, I think the Ryobi, I don't want to say the necessity for Ryobi, but the value in Ryobi is that it is inexpensive, and they do run a lot of deals throughout the year. They got Ryobi days at Home Depot, and it seems like every Black Friday, almost everything is buy this kit, get a whole bunch of batteries, or buy this and, get a free tool or something like that. So there's a lot of perks.
I dropped my pencil.
We're not editing this out. We're keeping it. We're not editing that out. That's going in the trailer.
Drop a pencil. So anyway, yeah, for sure.
I think it's a great value added platform, if anything.
It is, right? And I think you need that. First of all, as my father would say, if we don't have it, you don't need it.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective, because it's usually if you don't have it, you need it, or it's better to be looking at it than looking for it, right?
No, I'm talking about, he would say that in terms of like, if you're the business, right?
Oh,
if we don't have it, you don't need it, right? That's kind of a common saying in Maine. Do you have 1/2-inch coarse threaded carriage bolts? If we don't have it, we don't need it. So, yeah, but I do need them though. So anyway, it's kind of the same thing with Ryobi, right? They have just so much of everything. And the second thing is a lot of tools, they're tools that you need every day. Impact driver, drill,
circ saw,
disc sander, circular saw, the core tools, right? And then there's the stuff you might use, framing nailer. I might use twice a year. You know, electric stapler. You know what I mean?
Like
stuff that
Dremel type stuff. You know, the niche stuff.
There's no point. There's no point in investing big money into a top platform, expensive platform for a tool that you're only going to use very occasionally, or that you just need for one project, right?
Yes.
So for cheaper or single product or occasional use, it's a great platform. You talked about deals, right? Have you ever heard of Direct Tools outlets?
Yes.
Do you have one of those around you? Yeah. Do you have one?
We don't have a physical place, but I know very much of the website, and I look at it all the time.
Yeah, we have one. Yeah, we have one in San Antonio. That's not in San Antonio. It's in San Marcos. Sorry. Yeah. So it's about a half an hour drive. It's TTI, of course. So they have, you know, all the TTI brands. Milwaukee, Ryobi, but they sell very, very little refurbs of Milwaukee or factory seconds. Dirt Devil, Hoover, you know, all their household stuff too.
Rigid part of them too, I think, is Rigid part of them.
Rigid is part of them. Rigid is part of them, and they occasionally have some pretty good deals on Rigid, but they're just full of Ryobi. They have a ton of Ryobi. I bought a $300 pressure washer last summer for $75 at Direct Tools. Right. So, yeah. I mean, and some of the stuff is, like I said, refurbs, but most of it is like blemishes or factory seconds, and you cannot tell.
And it's a tool in the long run. Like half of my Ryobi stuff is white because I just set it down while I was painting, and I'm like, I don't give a shit, right? You know, tools get beat up, so if it's got a little blim in the plastic, who cares?
Yeah, so you have the blems and the refurbs and the factory seconds at Direct Tools, but they have the same warranty, and they're a great deal. Ryobi has never changed their battery platform in 20 years.
I still have 2 of the old yellow and blue batteries lying around. I think they're NiCad, and they still work. I still got them. Right.
Not that I'd rely on a NiCad battery, right? You're right, they still work, and nobody else can say that. I mean, Makita used to use the old camcorder batteries, you know. DeWalt used to use the 18-volt kind of Ryobi style with a stem, but everybody has changed. And I actually like the Ryobi form factor. You can take it out of a charger, and you can take it out of the tool with one hand. How many times have I gone with my battery saver with one hand, and I got the drill in one hand, and I need a battery, and I can't get it.
Yeah,
because I need both hands, right?
Ryobi's just got those 2 little snaps on the side, and it's boom, pull, and bam, you're locked and loaded, ready to go.
Right, exactly. So I mean, that's a small thing, but I think ergonomically, I think those batteries work, and they do have stuff that simply doesn't exist on other platforms, especially, and I think you mentioned this, a lot of the craft stuff, the hobby stuff, like the Dremels, the soldering station, that little hobby drill press, ton of job site stuff like speakers and fans and coolers.
Being a crafter that goes out during the summer, I've got 2 portable fans, and I've got one of the bucket top fans as a mister. Those things come in, they are tremendously valuable when you're stuck out in the sun for 70, 80 days out in the summer doing craft shows. I mean, they are lifesavers.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that little Mr. fan, and just fill that bucket with ice and water and go to town.
You put a 4-hour or 4 amp hour battery on it, and it'll last you 5 or 6 hours. That's awesome.
Sure. Yeah. The lawn and garden stuff. Just a ton of it, and a ton coming out every summer too. So cleaning stuff, they just came out with their new USB rechargeable line.
Yeah.
And they have some really promising looking things, there. Another thing, it's very easy to get, right? So how many times have you just needed something really fast?
Or you burn
Home
something
Depot
up.
Is yeah. Sure, which is again common.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, somewhat common with Ryobi, right? But I mean, you don't cry because the stuff is cheap. But have you had to run down the Home Depot and just grab something,
All the
and it's
time,
right there?
and it's a piss poor excuse to go and buy some lumber or something else that you don't need. But you know, you go down there and you're like, I need to replace a drill because my chuck is slipping, or you know, I'm
Right.
about to do this project and I need a framing nailer, you know, and I don't want to spend for Hitachi or Metabo or whatever it's called these days. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, my local Home Depot. It's like when you walk into your neighborhood bar, they just put the drink right on the table, right on the bar before you even order.
Yep. Everybody knows your name.
Yes, exactly. Hey, Lee! Yeah. So,
You know, I don't think you're wrong. I think Ryobi is a great secondary platform.
right.
I would probably go so far as to say it's my primary platform because I do have a lot of corded tools. Actually, all of my Festool stuff is corded, and I think
Okay.
there's another thing that I don't want to get invested in a secondary battery platform, especially Festool. Those fucking things are expensive. But I just prescribe to the belief that like the last tool that touches your piece should be of better quality, so that you know it's more accurate, it's more precise. Arguably, you're going to get a better result. So you know, with Ryobi, a circ saw, yeah, I'm using that to break down a piece of lumber right at the very beginning. But if I need to square something up and it's too big for my cabinet or my slider, then I'm busting out a Festool track saw, and that's going to be arguably a much better result than maybe the Ryobi track saw. I don't know.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, that Ryobi track saw is not a great saw. Unfortunately, I mean, some of their stuff. To their credit, some of their stuff is as good or better than the major top brands. And
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things this is sounding like a Ryobi commercial, but uh, one of the things I'm really a big fan of is those airstrike nailers.
Yep.
Those things are damn good.
Yep.
They are as good or better than the DeWalt or the Milwaukee. I built a shed back here about 2 years ago. I bought a DeWalt framing nailer. That thing is a piece of shit. And I've heard nothing but great stuff about it. You have the Ryobi framing nailer. Did it jam on you once?
No, the only time it jammed was because I wasn't paying attention and I loaded the nails in incorrectly. That was it. It was user error. Other than that, it was bam, 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 bam. There was no lag time. There was no like the internal compressor or whatever having to cycle. It was boom, go. And I used that thing for 3 days straight, and I only depleted one 4 amp hour battery using that thing. And
that's incredible. That's
probably
incredible.
Fired 800,000 nails.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That DeWalt, I like to call it my Grateful Dead nailer because it loves to jam. And you know when you press the thing, you know it's boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you know, you're just waiting. I love the DeWalt air nailers. Their electric nailers are leave something to be desired. But the Ryobi air, those airstrike, and all the sizes, right? And I'm not a big. I think for like the small, like the Brad nailer and stuff. I mean, I think a battery platform is just too big. I use air nailers, but they're great. I mean, I have them, and they're great. Yeah,
I think I have four Ryobi nailers. I've got the big actual nail gun. I've got a 18 gauge, a 23 gauge, and then I have the electric stapler. I'm going to call that a nail gun, but you know that electric stapler is fantastic. You know, when I'm doing drywall prep or something and trying to get sheathing up, it's just ding, 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 not the hammer thing. You know, it's nice and convenient.
Right. Yeah, it's great. Mm-hmm. So if that would be if that would be my secondary or a secondary battery platform, what are the considerations that what would be your go-to? I know you're a Festool guy, and like you said, you know, the batteries are very expensive. If you were going to invest in a primary battery platform other than Ryobi.
So I'll admit at one point in time, I did have a considerable amount of DeWalt products, and my DeWalt history is a little bit checkered in that I don't know if I just got bad product or if I was a terrible woodworker, and I burned up a whole bunch of I just had a lot of DeWalt stuff go bad on me. And we used to have like a factory refurbish place that was relatively local, and I remember taking those tools down there because they're expensive, and I had some money invested in them. And I said, "How much is it going to cost me to get these things refurbished?" And they threw $1,000 at me, and I was like, "Fuck that!" and that's when I switched to Ryobi.
Right.
But nothing against DeWalt. Every once in a while you get a dud. But I think if I was to have a secondary platform, it would probably be Makita. More so than
Interesting.
Yeah, more so than Milwaukee. So I have an electrician buddy who is all about Milwaukee. Red is his color, and I've used it, and it's good stuff. But I've also used Makita, and I just think I don't know if there's anything to it. It's a good quality platform, and ergonomics wise, size wise, the batteries are a little bit more manageable, and that's probably the way that I would go. But,
yeah,
I mean,
Makita,
you obviously have DeWalt, but if you were not a DeWalt guy, where would you go?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are expecting me to defend DeWalt as my primary choice of primary battery platform. I'm not going to do that. I will tell you straight up, if I could do it over, I would make a different choice. DeWalt is good.
Mm-hmm.
I still invest in DeWalt. I don't buy a lot of tools nowadays because I don't really need anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm just very heavily invested in the batteries. That's the problem, right? So when you're very invested in the batteries, it's hard.
It's hard to break away.
Right. But if I were going to start over, or if there was, God forbid, some kind of a fire or something in here and I had to start over, I would go with Milwaukee. A couple of reasons. It's more expensive, but I think the quality is better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the tool choices are better. And this is the other big thing. And this is one of my huge pet peeves with DeWalt. They will not commit to that 12-volt line. They just kind of do, and then they kind of don't, and then they kind of do, and then they kind of don't. And it's like, fucking get off the pot, man. That M12 Milwaukee shit is brilliant. And I think a lot of woodworkers overlook the 12-volt platforms. If I was going to reinvest in tools, I mean, there's certain things like an impact wrench, you need more power, right?
Yes.
Or, I'm not going to buy a 12-volt circular saw.
No.
But for like 90% of things, for woodworking,
a small screwdriver or a small drill or even just the compact size of like a really small impact driver, being able to get up into a small area. Yeah, it's genius. 12 volts. Yeah, 12 volts is all you need, man, for like 90% of stuff that you're doing in working. You got to remember that these tool companies are catering to mechanics, the guys working on big diesels and stuff, so that's why, right. And that's why they have a 20-volt line, or in some cases a 60-volt line, like the flex volt, the DeWalt, which I think the flex volt line is brilliant, but that Milwaukee M12 is some good shit. Mm-hmm. And I would really probably replace most of the stuff with the M12. I think we also kind of nailed it a little bit in that there is, when making that decision, the convenience of which box store is closer to you. So, we've talked about this, like, where's your nearest box store? And we can go like this, and it's, 7 steps to my left or 5 steps to my right, and I've got 2 orange box stores. And then if I go 10 steps that way, I got a blue box store.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, when being invested in Ryobi.
Take a guess.
Huh?
Take a guess. How many Home Depots are within a 30-minute drive of my house?
Oh, God, it's Texas, so everything's bigger. So, shit, I don't know, 40?
No, 14. There's 14 Home Depots within 30 minutes of my house. So literally, I can just go on the app and say, oh, they don't have it? Well, next one. I can just go right down the whole list, right? So, yeah. And if they don't have it, then you just get it online and you get free shipping in 2 days.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, you're exactly right. And, you're right. The convenience of having the right thing in the right place and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah.
And I think we could all just, we know the difference between the two stores, right? That the orange store is more professional, job site type environment, whereas the blue store is a little more DIY-ish, if you will. So,
yeah.
It just depends on...
They cater a little bit more. Yeah, they cater a little bit more to the mom trying to put up a shelf or hang a picture, Whereas at Home Depot, they're not, fuck are you doing here?
Yeah. Which shitty sheet of plywood do you need now?
Do you want the lightly delaminated or the heavily delaminated?
Yes, or the one that looks like a Frito corn chip, which I just bought 2 of yesterday. Jesus Christ. Anywho.
Oh my God. Yeah. So anyway, man, I am anxious to get to this next segment because this is the coolest thing. Okay, so Jered had this idea. We were going to email each other questions. Mm-hmm. And instead, he said, why don't we just snail mail each other questions and open them on the show? Yeah. So this is...
Stamps. Remember these things? Stamps.
Wow. Okay. First of all, this is the cutest idea ever. I haven't sent a letter to anyone with a stamp in writing on the envelope since the 80s. Okay, so
we're bringing a skill back. That's what we're doing.
we are. And Jered, okay, I don't know if you can see this, but this is the prettiest teacher handwriting I've ever seen. Okay, look at this.
That took me 35 minutes to write down. That's how slow I am when it comes to writing. Just so the audience is aware, while I was in college, I was singled out on a midterm, I think the very first semester that I was there. And the professor said, who wrote this? And held up my little blue book. And I raised my hand and she said, this is the nicest handwriting ever. Everything you said in your midterm was dead ass wrong, but you got so much extra credit because your handwriting was really nice. Hey, that's a teachable moment right there, guys. Penmanship matters.
That's right. That's right. So if someone's on the bubble between a B and a C, that could make the difference, right?
If you're writing hieroglyphics, I can't really help you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. So and you have an open mind, right?
I have not. It is still sealed.
And I have not. Yes, and this one is still sealed too. And so we decided to ask each other just general random woodworking questions. And so I'm going to pick one off of this list. And Jered's going to pick one off of his list, and we're going to talk about it, and then we'll do video spotlights. Okay, so
let's see what we got here.
All right. Oh my God. Mine's just on paper. Wait a second. You holy mother. You printed these on, look at this.
Look at teacher paper right there. I got blue, I got yellow, I got red, I got everything.
He printed these.
And then I even cut I cut them out too.
This is unbelievable. Oh, but I'm not gonna just grab a random one. I'm gonna pick the one I want to answer. Oh my God. Wow. Ooh, okay.
Man, Lee's not holding back on question number 1. I'm gonna go with that one for my first one.
Okay, go ahead. I want you to go. All right. First. Yeah.
Question number 1. What is or are your least favorite style or genre of woodworking video on YouTube? All right. I get stretched out here. Okay. I'm going to say finish-related videos. What's the best finish? We've talked about this before, and hell, we even talked about Osmo earlier in this show, but I can't watch them. Do not care. The best finish for your wood piece is no finish and never touch it. That is the best wood finish. Nothing will go wrong.
Seal it in a bubble.
Yep. Just I don't. All of those types of videos. It just I don't care. Keep scrolling.
Okay. All right. So if you had one woodworking superpower, what would it be? I don't know how to describe this, but I've fantasized about being able to do this so many times. where basically to just be able to like cut any shape with like laser vision, just go like that. And just like laser vision, laser cutter eyes, basically.
So can I respond to my... No, go ahead. Keep telling us about this. I like this. This is fun.
I was right. So basically, it would be like a CNC. My brain would be a CNC, and then my eyes would shoot out lasers, and they would be able to go like. Yeah.
I want to ask you your own question. What is are your least favorite style or genre of woodworking video on YouTube?
Oh my God. ASMR.
Ah, fuck. Shit. Fair enough.
or anything with hyperlapse in it, right? So
damn it.
I've just described your whole channel, basically.
Right,
now.
Pretty much.
No. Now the ASMR, and you see a lot of these on Facebook, like just the shorts where it's just like, I'm cutting this with a bandsaw, and I'm just putting a mic here and. The fuck am I watching this for?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there. There, as we all know, there's different tiers to all of these different types of things, and yeah, there are a handful of ASMR videos that I've watched where I was like, man, this is dull.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about no talking. I'm talking about just random wood porn shots. That's what it is. It's wood porn, you know. Yeah, and I don't get off on it, so to speak. So, yeah. So, hey, I think we got time for another one.
You want to do another one?
All right,
you go first. Yeah, go first.
All right.
Oh, that's an. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What?
Norm Abram, Roy Underhill, Scott Phillips, Bob Villa, Nick Offerman, or your favorite YouTuber, who would you want to meet? I've always wanted to meet Nick Offerman and hang out. He would be a great guy to do a shop hang with. First of all, he's hilarious. Mm-hmm. And second of all, he just seems like just a cool dude. You know, Bob V is probably way too smart for me.
Yeah.
Same with Norm. And I don't know if either one of those guys could hang with my personality. I think Nick is laid back enough. If I dropped an F-bomb or two, I think he'd be cool. Not that I do that on purpose, but you know, what the fuck. And let's see. Or your favorite YouTuber. I do want to have one honorable mention. I would love to do a one-day shop hang with Steve Ramsey. I think he's a cool guy. And he's probably, I mean, he's no nonsense. He knows his shit.
He's got a sense of humor. He's got a sense of humor.
He's funny. Well. He's a fun hang. I love his approach to YouTube. He's like, I'm doing my own thing. I don't give a crap about the, you know, he's a huge horror movie and Halloween fan. And every year he does Halloween projects with like blood and stuff. And he says he loses hundreds of subscribers for that. And he still does it anyway.
And he gets so much shit for having that pentagram or whatever that's on his shop wall. It's like, come on, dude, just get over it.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So go ahead.
Okay.
Yours.
What tool do you most regret buying? I could go two different ways on this, but I've used one significantly more than the other in the 3 years since I've been in this house. I'm going to say the bandsaw. I regret buying my Laguna 18BX. I bought the saw because I did a job that required it, and I charged the person to buy the tool. And then I had all of these aspirations. It was a big job. It wasn't, you know, I just really want a saw, and I'm going to charge you $2,000 for nothing. But I had all of these aspirations, like I was going to start making bandsaw boxes for my craft shows, and I was going to, you know, actually like use the full capacity to do 16-inch resawing and all that kind of stuff. And I bought it, I want to say 8 to 10 months before we moved. That thing got boxed up in a pod, shipped 800 miles up here to Spokane, and it has been turned on once. I don't even have a blade on it.
Oh, God.
It just sits in my shop, and I turned it on once to make sure like the motor wasn't seized. And now it is a $2,000 paperweight. I regret buying that thing, and I have tried to sell it 2, maybe 3 times for the cost of like a 14-inch, and I've had no takers on it. So
wow, that's incredible.
I'm going to do something. I'm foreshadowing many, many moons from now, but I'm going to do something pretty stupid and crazy to my sliding table saw to force me to have to use my bandsaw. I can't
really.
I can't justify keeping it in my shop if I'm not going to use it, and I hate looking at it just sitting in the corner like a bandsaw always does, all lonely face. Use me. Are you
gonna put it in storage or give it away? Give it away in your channel and then fix it so I win.
No, I like we said about the tool, the battery platforms. I'm invested in the tool. I've shelled out the cash. I've tried selling it 3 times and nobody's bought on it, and I'm not going to sell it for next to nothing because it is very light use. No, I'm going to do something pretty silly and reckless with my slider to force me to use my bandsaw.
Or listen, we have listeners probably within a reasonable distance of Spokane, right? Make Jered an offer on his 18BX Laguna.
All tricked out too. I got the little light. It's got the mobile kit. I've got all the bells and whistles on it.
He's got the bells. He's got the whistles. He's got the knobs and the dials.
And the spider webs.
But no blade.
The spider webs that have accumulated on it as well.
Right. But no blade.
No blades. Nope.
What size blade does that take? Does that take a full 1-inch blade?
I think it'll take 1.25 inches. The biggest I ever ran
nice. Okay.
was a 1-inch, and I think it's 144-inch circumference blade.
You put 1.25 inches carbide resaw king on there. You are in business for life.
Oh yeah,
your grandkids will still be using that blade.
And that's the last blade that I had on there before the wood did what the wood did and snapped that fucker in half. And I was really pissed about it too.
Yeah, those are expensive blades, but they will last indefinitely. I mean, they'll last for 20, 30 years. I mean, if you treat them right, or if you don't get a wonky piece of wood, right? Yeah. So, hey, listen, man, we're going to save these questions. We're going to answer some more next time. But
And by the way, all the listeners and viewers, chime in with your responses to those questions as well. I think this would be a load of fun to see what we generate that way.
Yeah, definitely. Please do that. That would be cool. Drop it in the comments. You'll have to go back and I don't remember the questions we answered now. Yeah, okay. Which YouTuber would you like to hang out with? And don't say me. Don't say me.
I'm dull as hell.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not hanging with any of the sweaty public that listens to the show. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna have to cut that part out. Okay, now listen. So we are doing video spotlights.
Video spotlights. I'm pulling it up on my phone so I don't forget what video I recommended. There it is. Got it.
Go for it.
All right. So mine is coming from One Handed Maker. Again, a foreign channel. He's an Aussie. And the video name is Chessboard with Zebra Wood Inlay. Very simple, cut and dry. Now, the reason why I'm recommending this video is kind of along the same lines, I believe, as last episode's video with the vegetable
Steve
container.
Thompson.
Yes.
Yeah. The root vegetable bin, yeah.
Yeah, the one-handed maker is literally one-handed. And I happen
one-armed. He doesn't have
he
doesn't just have a missing hand, his whole arm right up to the shoulders.
One arm. And I'm not only does he make incredibly ornate and beautiful items, it is just impressive to see the fortitude and the determination to continue with a hobby that we, with 2 arms and all of our extremities, we take for granted. And he's doing. I'm getting so discombobulated right now. I went outside and attempted to process material with one hand after watching this video. Now, granted, none of the machines were spinning, but it's incredibly inspiring to see somebody, and I don't want to use the term disability, but somebody who does not have the same lot as the rest of us, making stuff that is really, really impressive and having joy in doing it.
I watched the video, and it's a chessboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means extremely precise cutting and assembly. You have to line it up perfectly.
There's glue ups involved, and it's like, how many times are we?
It's hard. That's really. I've tried to make a checkerboard or chessboard before. You get the shit off center or offset. It's hard to do with two hands.
Yeah.
How he was able to get that thing perfect and so nice looking with one arm.
Yeah, it has like a decorative inlay along the perimeter of the board, which, if I remember right, he processed this way to create the channel to make the inlay. It's like,
right.
It's incredible.
And he said the inlay was like 80 different pieces together or something. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. What? Yeah, and I'm looking at it right now. Barely 2,000 views, barely 2K. I'm like, if there's a video or a person that deserves a ton of recognition, it is that channel. That guy has done amazing work.
One-handed maker, chessboard with zebra wood inlay, and he has some other videos I've seen too on there that are great. So definitely a good recommendation. Okay, so my recommendation is not someone who's has a disability, except maybe mentally. The channel is called, I'm kind of obsessed with this channel lately. So it's called Building with Bobby. And video I'm going to recommend is how to build a coffee table, DIY live edge coffee table with metal legs. And it's
holy
not going to set the world on
every
fire.
little buzzword in it. Like,
how to build coffee table, DIY, live edge, metal legs. Yeah. And not only is that really a masterclass in SEO for titles. As I was saying, the video is not going to set the world on fire, right? But he's got a bunch of them on there. He's got one that was, I'll get to it in a second. But his videos are so amazing looking. When I first watched this guy's channel, I said, this guy has missed his calling. He should be making feature films, not doing woodworking videos on YouTube. So I reached out to him, and apparently he has a friend who helps him with this, or actually does because there's really elaborate angles, and there's gimbal work, and there's zooming, and that helps him with these videos. They're like semi kind of directors, both of them. And they've been making short films together since junior high, apparently. So they made short films together as kids, and the writing is very clever. The jokes are funny. He has another very funny video on there called I Will Not Bow to Any Woodworking Sponsor, which is a takeoff on it's a parody of a scene from Wayne's World, which he claims in the description could be his favorite movie. So, notwithstanding his terrible taste in films, Building with Bobby.
Brutal. Rough.
Building with Bobby. Yeah, go check that out. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, he's got a good sense of humor.
1,000 subs, you should have more.
Yeah, he's got a great sense of humor, and like you said, he's got that cinematic quality to what he's doing. So, good channel to pay attention to.
Yeah. All right, man. What do you think?
Episode 6.
We are on 6.
Okay.
It is in the can. And let's see. So this will be out beginning of October?
Yeah. Halloween, here we come. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. And we will see you next time. Adios, amigos.